Hello, manifestors. So today I thought that I would bring my last podcast that you can find on any podcast platforms here on YouTube. Number one, because for the second week in a row, I've been so busy for one reason or another that I haven't had the time to make a video. And for a long time now, I have been wanting to try to bring maybe once in a while one of my podcasts here on Facebook. Because interestingly, there are way more listeners to my podcast than to this channel here. But also, I have a lot of foreigners watching my YouTube videos that are telling me they are using subtitles to understand better what I'm saying. And you can't have subtitles on podcasts. And no, I am not going to start making videos in French or Spanish. No, 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 because I am so busy already as it is. Forget it. Forget the fact that, well, I happen to speak French and Spanish, but forget about it, okay? That's gonna be in English. So, for those who don't master English, by me putting those podcasts once in a while on my YouTube channel, you can use subtitles. I know sometimes for some reason YouTube doesn't allow subtitles. I don't know. When you guys ask me why, I do not know why. I do not know. That's YouTube that does that thing. All right. So I don't know why sometimes they may allow some subtitles in certain languages and sometimes they don't. And I don't know why. So, a little note about my podcasts. My podcasts are usually more spiritual. They are like a step higher than my videos. So, let's see if you like it, guys. And I mean, for those who only watch the videos and never listen to the podcast, I know many of you are listening to both of them. Also, something that I haven't even had the time to do yet, it's to let people know. I let just people know in my group basically so far, but let people know that I have a new guide. And thank you, by the way, for all the wonderful testimonials that I've got so far that I am yet to put on my sales page. But if you want to get the guide, it's not for free, by the way, right? You have to purchase it. But it is, so you know, it is less than the price of 3 emails, and it's 80 pages that is teaching you how to manifest anything that you want. You can find it on my website under the tab, The Complete Manifesting Guide. So, without further ado, let's talk about who you truly are and what will change for you in your life once you know who you truly are. We believe that man can create anything he desires. We believe the universe is infinite response, and the one who causes it is the individual perceiver. Nothing is independent of your perception of it. We are so interwoven. We are part of the machine. But as we awake, we detach ourselves from this machine and make life as we wish to be. For man is all imagination, and God is man and exists in us, and we in him. The eternal body of man is the imagination. That is God himself. You can imagine, and I can imagine. And if we can be faithful to the state imagined, it must appear in our world. This is not new. It was given centuries ago, for we have it in the Bible. But people do not know how to read the Bible, so they got together and organize it into an ism. It is not an ism, but it is the great plan to free men. The foundation stone, imagination, lecture from Neville, Goddard, December 1st, 1959. By the way, this lecture is available to read for free And I encourage you to read the whole lecture. So, as Neville says here, this truth that imagination creates reality is so freeing men and is so freeing us as individuals. I don't know about you, but as far as I'm concerned, when I discovered Neville was by all means one of my darkest places in my whole life. And I have had, trust me, some not so cool moments in my life. I did manifest it all, right? I take full responsibility knowing what I know, right? I manifested a lot of crap in my life in the past, but when I discovered Neville, I was touching bottom. And I think that's why I discovered this teaching. I was ready for it. And as a coach now, I can see that many people are actually finding this teaching when they are at the end of their rope. And I think it's because as humans, we need to be at the end of our rope in order to wake up. And yet some people are at the end of their rope and will never wake up, right? But for those of us who are already spiritual, who are already looking for answers and for meaning to this life, I know myself, I got lost in a cult for 10 years, almost 11 years of my life, because of that same reason, right? I was looking for answers to this thing that was not fun at all for me and that people called life. But obviously, it was not what I was looking for, and eventually I found that out and got out of this. And then I think I was already on my journey because I got lost a little bit in the law of attraction, but I started to understand that we are the maker of what we call life, that we are responsible in some way. But I didn't know how responsible we are. I still believe that things happened to me, that people did things to me. So it was not exactly relieving. But when I realized, because Neville is very clear about that, so when I discovered Neville and started to read Neville, read his books, read his lectures, also listening to his lectures on YouTube, I discovered something that maybe can really frighten some people and really make them completely uncomfortable. But to me, it was a ha-ha moment. It's the understanding that I am completely responsible for everything I ever manifested in my life, good, bad, neutral, whether I want it, whether I did not want it. I manifested it all. It was a relief to me because, first of all, now I am 100% sure that nobody is doing anything to me. And nobody can do anything to me ever. Because I am in control. I am the creator of what I'm going through. And when I say creator, we know creation is finished, right? But I am the one choosing to be in a certain state in order to experience whatever that state contains. So, for example, I have a few clients here and there that have a huge attachment to their issues, a huge attachment to the old story and to the pain, to the thing that is hurting them so much. But unless you detach from that pain that is hurting you so much, unless you understand that you are not that person who is suffering, but the person who is choosing to suffer, that will be very relieving for you. That's going to relieve you to no end. Because I understand, trust me, I understand when you're telling me, Well, I have this huge pain in me. I have this huge regret. I have this huge remorse. I have this huge anger. I know. Been there, done that, trust me. But the thing is, the reason you're here, the reason you have discovered this law of the universe, the law of assumption, it's because you are ready to grow up. You are ready to detach from that ego self that is suffering. Once you detach from the ego self that is suffering, you are going to fly on a cloud. I'm not saying that every day will be laughing out loud. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that you will never, never, never see life the same way again. But in order to get there, you have to fully understand two main things. Number one, that you are fully responsible for everything you've ever manifested in your life. I don't care how bad it was or how good, both and in between. And number two, remembering that imagination creates reality. Your imagination, which by the way, it's not only when you do your little SATs, right? SATs is just a technique. We imagine all the time, 24/7, right? Even as we dream, we imagine, right? Because our dreams come out of us, not out there, right? So you have to understand that your imagination, your 24/7 engine that is called imagination, manifests your life. Once you understand that, you are going to take control of your imagination. And taking control of your imagination starts with not reacting to the BS that you are still manifesting in your life, because there are residues. They're still residues of the old men, right? Even me, I still manifest residues, trust me. I still manifest residues sometimes of my old men, my old self. But the way I look at it now, it's feedback. It's great feedback. It's my best encyclopedia. It's where I learn and observe. Oh, look at this. Look what I have manifested. Look what's coming up again. But I'm not the rat in the lab anymore. I am the guy taking care of the rat lab. And I am even the whole freaking lab. As another coach said it. This phrase is not even mine, it's someone else's. And I thought it's such a good analogy, so I use it sometimes. So, guys, at the end of the day, as a conscious manifester, you decide if you want to suffer. Do you want to suffer more? Some more? More weeks, more months, more years, more decades of your life? If you do, then keep on doing what you've been doing, and you will. Right? You will suffer. But if you want to make the decision right now that you are not the rat lab who suffers anymore, because you are bigger than that, right? You are not your ego. Your ego is part of you, yes, but you are not that little ego that suffers and that reacts anymore. You know that you are bigger than that. You know that you are the operant power beyond the ego. And that operant power doesn't suffer, as a matter of fact. But you can choose to embody a state where that ego of yours will suffer. But trust me, with practice and the desire to do so, you can embody a state as the operant power where that ego of yours does not suffer anymore, or not nearly as much. Why? Because you have detached You have detached from that part of you. Yesterday, we had a live in my Facebook group with Tanya and Belikta, and Tanya talked about detachment. Detachment is that, right? Detaching from your little self, from your ego self, and see the big picture, in other words. When you see the big picture, you can see your own suffering. You can get out of your own body and emotions. And you see yourself and you're like, oh, I don't have to be that anymore. I don't have to be that anymore. And that part of you who is observing your thoughts, observing even your body sometimes. Sometimes I go out completely out of my body and I see my body. That part of you that is able to get out of your own little self, your body, your ego self, is your higher self. It's your God self. And that God self is quiet and calm and knows that you can be and have anything that you want. So for those of you who feel very nervous and very in control by something outside of you, I suggest that you repeat silently or even out loud, whatever you want, the phrase, be still and know that I am God. Repeat that until you feel it. And I don't know about you, but this phrase alone calms me down almost instantly, even instantly. Anyway, guys, this was a very deep podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and as you know, I really appreciate you.